Today's guest is the founder and CEO of Viva Glam magazine, Glamour Cosmetics. She's a renowned celebrity makeup artist, a producer, a vegan activist, a woman empowerment goddess, Sagittarius, like me.
Yes, yes.
And she's one of my dear friends, Katarina Van Derham.
Yes, hi, Jesse. And she is one of our Viva Glam supermodels that, I don't know if you noticed, but your article is doing so well on our website.
Really?
It's like crazy. Yeah.
Aww.
Anyhow.
Well, that's what I was thinking on the drive over here. I was like, this is so cool because you've given me so many opportunities in my career for me to share my story and whether it was with Viva Glam magazine or other things that you were working on. So I'm so excited to be on this side for once and be able to have you share your story because
Thank you.
Your story is, I just love everything about your story. And so I guess I want to start from the beginning, like with the 90s Girl. You just did a docu-series called 90s Girl.
Yes.
Which I love. It kind of plays out your whole life, which is crazy.
A portion of it.
Yeah.
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 I go from the upbringing and then I skip 20 years.
Okay.
And then I'm here now. So I'm saving those 20 years to actually create or produce an actual film one day and tell that story in between or during those 20 years. But isn't it funny how what comes around goes around, like what you just said?
Yes.
You help someone, then you get help from somewhere else. And my whole 90s Girl came from the whole, I guess, idea behind it is to tell some pieces of my story because I always feel misunderstood. And I'm sure many people can relate to it. People like to put people in different categories and perceive them. Deep inside, I'm a completely different person than many perceive. So I just wanted to share my story or my upbringing. I wanted to see if people can relate because I feel lots of times I feel very lonely in America because I'm from another country and I've been here for 20 years. And I feel like nobody can relate to me because my upbringing was so different. But it was so amazing to see once I just released the trailer, which is a 4-minute trailer. It's not a 90
I'm obsessed
seconds.
with it, by the way.
Thank you.
It's done so well.
Thank you. And when you see these people relating to you from London, from Africa, from America, and all of a sudden you realize you're not alone. Because I always felt alone. And all these people, yeah, I remember when I tried to go to America and my visa got denied and I never made it. So the furthest I could go was, some country in Europe. And then other people can relate to different struggles, the family issues and stuff. And it was just really amazing to see and get the support from the world, I would say, simply because there are people who can relate to different parts of your life. Yeah, my life is very different than a traditional American life, but there's parts of it that different people relate to different parts, and that's something I learned from that, and got me really motivated to continue with the docu-series. It's called The 90s Girl because the 90s were to me the most amazing era.
I know.
Who loves the 90s?
By the way, you do the best you do the best makeup, period. When you do my makeup, I'm like, who's this girl? I feel the best I've ever felt, truly.
Thank you.
Every time. But the 90s makeup is 90s and 60s.
Thank you. I just like bombshells. I like the classic beauty. I like the 90s Guess ads and 90s supermodels. I'm not into the whole, there was that specific style in the 90s also where you had a bob and like brown lip liner. That wasn't me, but I like the runway Versace supermodel era and the Guess ads. So that's my inspiration because I think women look so powerful back then. And, the 90s, I was a teenager and I had I started to dream in the 90s because I grew up during communism. And when I was 14 years old, it failed. The Berlin Wall came down. And all of a sudden, it was 1990. And I went into high school. And all of a sudden, this whole fresh energy flooded Eastern Europe and Central Europe. And all of a sudden, we weren't so much Eastern Bloc, we were Central Europe because, people started to pay attention to how countries are divided in Europe. It's not just East and West. There's also middle somewhere. And also, just everything became so much more colorful and we were exposed to the Western world. And
Yeah, because before that, did you have access to
No, we didn't.
no TV or magazines?
we had TV,
but it was
but the shows were so limited. The only two shows we had was Night Rider, I think, and Dallas.
which those
you
are
know?
good ones though, actually.
Yeah, those were good ones. They inspired us a lot, but it was very controlled during communism. And although I must say I had a great childhood growing up back home, like I was very much loved by my parents, and there was just lots of love, but the opportunities weren't there. And if we wanted to buy acid wash jeans, they were trending in the 80s, we had to go to a black market in Poland, and kind of trade and buy stuff that we were supposed to have. And the same with the records. Like we couldn't get American records, like American rock bands or something like that, So we had to kind of buy it in Poland or Hungary, these other countries, and we had so much joy just sitting home playing a record of ABBA or Michael Jackson's Thriller, because it was just like taboo a little bit, and it was like so unique, and we would treasure it. You couldn't even touch it if it was your friend. Like, let me play it, because if you scratch it, it's done. So the 90s opened up when they came around. Basically, the Western world, kind of came to us, and we were exposed to everything, and everything was legal, and we could go and buy acid wash jeans and all the fluorescent fancy fashions and stuff, and it was super exciting. And I think it's not because the 90s were so fabulous, it's because what happened in a society in Europe in the 90s made the 90s to me so special. It was basically this Western influence that influenced me so much that I came to America.
And that was your dream, right? I mean, it seems like
it wasn't before.
No,
it wasn't before. Just once in the 90s, I saw more American TV shows and how women are beautiful here, and I felt like, there's like a place that I think I am going to enjoy more to live if I can get there. And it was extremely difficult to get visa to immigrate, because in the 90s, once the gates opened up, everybody wanted to immigrate to America.
Wow.
And the government knew it, and they just denied visa after visa, and it was just no way. I mean, I've known people who tried for 5 years in a row, who tried to apply for visa to just go and visit. No, because they knew once you leave, you're not gonna come back. Somehow I, found a way, and maybe because I was so obsessed with the American culture, I kind of tricked my way into coming here, and I ended up here. And till today, many people give me lots of props for being able to live in the 90s, because there's not too many Slovaks in this country that have been here since the 90s, because I was one of a few who were able to immigrate. And I always told myself, I'm going to make America proud. So,
well, you're definitely making America proud.
Yeah, I'm happy to be able to just employ Americans. You know?
Yeah. And you know what I was just thinking of? We were actually at your studio. Gosh, I don't know how many years ago this was now, right before you decided to do your magazine.
Yeah.
And you were just like talking about it, and you were telling me your story, and you're like, I remember when I got my first magazine, and I wanted to look like these people, and you're like, I think I want to do a magazine. And then you did.
And I did.
Yeah.
What were you thinking, though, when I said that?
Oh, I was like 100%. Because to me, especially at that time, I mean, now I feel like there's more of like a female empowerment, but you really led the way. When I met you, you just had a tribe of amazing females around you.
And you were one of them.
Which you still do, but you kind of were like gathering these females and like doing little meetings at your house and projects and whatever you could, getting people to share their story. And then the magazine was the epitome of it. It was like, this is what we're doing.
And that was my idea behind it. I'm like, I want to share, obviously, my beauty work as a makeup artist and hairstylist in a magazine that's more glamorous, because I felt there's either fashion magazines such as Vogue and then men's magazines such as Maxim. And you being a sexy, beautiful model in Los Angeles, you can't do Vogue, so forget about the fashion side. Right. You are automatically thrown into men's magazines. And I didn't like how men took charge of sexuality, because lots of times when I appeared in a men's magazine, never shot nude, but it was always the sexy stuff. and it was in another country, I had someone to translate my interview, for example, and it was completely different.
That's happened to me.
That happened to you too, right? Because it was the thing back in the day, like you do an interview and you're trying to be very inspirational to the readers and be nice, but obviously the editors didn't like that. They didn't tell you because it's in a different language. You'll never find out, they think. And I read this interview and it's all this kinky stuff and weird, and I'm like, this is not me, and this is not how I want to be portrayed in the world. So I wanted to really create a magazine that's glamorous, but in a fashionable way, in a classic way, something that we women perceive glam as and the sexuality. So, you know, I figured I have so many fantastic women around me, from, you know, being a model with them and also from doing their makeup and hair. And I'm like, if I just regroup and, you know, get all these women together and start building a magazine, and everybody can contribute and everybody can kind of use it as a vehicle to build themselves from that.
And you did.
All cross promote. I thought it's a win-win. But talking about women's empowerment, I also learned, because it's been 6 years now, that many of them, like you, are still around and they're great, but many of them took advantage of it. And many of them backstabbed me. And that women's empowerment, I felt, it's just the...
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yes, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And
there's always a bad seed.
there's always a bad seed. That's the way to put it. And, you know, just you try to help women, help them grow, take them out of, you know, where they are in life at that time, because, you know, I'm one of those who worked extremely hard to get where I am. And then they just take advantage of it and drown you and try to take your money. And they try to make you look like this bad, horrible person just because. So I don't think there's
It's a reflection of them.
I know, but
for sure.
it still bothers me.
I know, girl.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about this new cosmetic line. I mean, you had Cat Lash, which I love, because everything is like PETA certified, vegan. Because usually, what are eyelashes made from? I don't even know.
Well, you know, there's been that trend of mink lashes for the past few years, and that's what really bothered me, because it's not like they say they shave minks or pick up the fur that falls. I mean, do you know what mink is as an animal? It's like a bear. It's like aggressive. It's small, obviously. It's not the size of a bear, but it's a very aggressive animal. So if you want to get mink's fur, you have to kill it, skin it alive, electrocute it, or whatever it is that they do mainly in Asia to get their furs. No mink is gonna be sitting in your lap and, oh, I'm gently brushing you out and I'm gonna make eyelashes from this. Just people need to use their logic sometimes and common sense. If they see mink is cruelty-free, there's no such thing.
Right.
Everybody can put a label cruelty-free and doesn't mean it's cruelty-free. That's why I am PETA certified. So it gives me more of a credibility, like, okay, I am really cruelty-free. My lashes are made from human hair because, in my opinion, you want to put something that's closest to your lashes, which is hair, right? Hair or lashes is like the same texture. It's gonna look the most natural,
right?
Because that's what it is. It's pretty much your hair. If you put any synthetic, or you put mink or fox, horse hair, they do. I mean, to me, that's crazy.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are just uneducated or choose to just turn a blind eye. So I love that you're, you know, sharing this and educating people.
Yeah, I think many people, because I've been thinking about it a lot, and I think many people, it's not like they don't want to know the truth, but they don't trust their gut and instinct, because I always go with my common sense and logic, and I put, okay, 2 + 2 is 4, period. You know, and I just put my logic and overanalyze things lots of times, do a little research, and it's clear to me. I don't care what anyone says, this is the fact to me. And I think lots of times people don't trust their gut or instinct because they're insecure, they don't believe in themselves, they have a very low self-esteem, and it's just easier to, they would never lie, and it's easier to trust whatever they read somewhere or see.
Right.
And you know, whole Viva Glam business model is built on ethical lifestyle and educating people on cruelty-free vegan products, and still being glamorous and luxurious without sacrificing the quality of life. But I think that's what it is. You know?
And that's what I love about it. I think a lot of people think that if it's vegan, like there's not like where's the
fun.
yeah, and that's all you are to me. So I
Yeah.
love that you do that. And you've been vegan now for how long?
I vegan vegetarian for 23 years.
23
First, I
years.
was a vegetarian for about 15 years. Then I went vegan after 15 years, and you know, it's to me, it's like a second nature now. Like I was a biggest meat eater growing up, meat
course.
potatoes. I still like that texture, but now I eat like the potatoes and soy meat, or you know, vegan meat basically. But you know, it's always a process. Like when I go to Europe sometimes, and you know, my mom, she lives in a place of 1,000 people, and our neighbors have chickens, and they come to our grass, and you know, they eat the grass, and you see them. So we get those eggs because they
Right.
share them with us. So I would have scrambled eggs
Yeah.
for breakfast as an exception. So if I know where it comes from, like maybe even like a yogurt, it's okay. But I am very particular about, okay, I'm in Slovakia, I know where it comes from and all that stuff. Otherwise, yeah, no meat. Obviously, I wouldn't eat meat or fish, but
Right.
just dairy and eggs.
Yeah.
You know, here and there, a little exception.
Yeah, I love it.
I,
So I want to ask you, I know you have a million golden secrets and you share so many of them.
I just shared one.
Yeah.
Vegan. Go
yeah,
vegan.
Go vegan.
Go vegan.
Well, I love what you said. So I was going to say, in the docu-series, you do, there's this like beautiful segment where you talk about being vegan and like the natural and the sunlight and like eat, you know, and how it changes, you know, you are what you eat basically.
Yeah.
The way you describe it is so beautiful.
I think you are what you eat. I think you are what you wear. I think you are what you surround yourself with. And even when I was broke in Los Angeles and I lived in this apartment with no furniture because I couldn't afford it, I went to Ross and I would buy these pink flowers, like, you know, the fake flowers, and I would just put them around my window because I woke up and made me so happy.
Yes.
So, and I was happy because of those flowers. So you are what you eat, you are what you wear. If you wear cruelty-free products, you know, you're gonna be more beautiful within. You are,
I love that.
you know, if you eat,
You're going to be more beautiful if you wear cruelty-free products.
yes, because there's no pain, there's no
Yeah, it's
suffering
true.
in it. If you
take that on.
you take that on. It's in the products that are sitting and going through your pores into your bloodstream. So any lotions that's tested on animals or is from an animal that suffered, it's going to be in your blood. The blood
different
goes to your
energy.
heart, it's going to your brain, it's going to affect your mood. If you eat plants that are filled with sunlight and chlorophyll and oxygen, and you know, it's this beautiful food that you eat, it goes through your bloodstream, goes to your gut, it goes to your blood goes through your brain, through your heart. It just makes you either happy or depressed. I think many people are depressed because they eat meat. They don't realize it, and they're gonna laugh about at the statement, right?
Yes, I know.
But I think there's so much negativity that comes when the meat's being digested in your body, and your body is breaking it down, and it feels all that negativity and suffering and pain and grief that the animal was experiencing during its life or during the slaughter. And you become that because all of a sudden the blood goes to your brain. You're like, oh, I don't know, I'm feeling down. And you have no idea it's from that meat because people don't think
People
that
don't
way.
make that connection.
They don't make that connection. But I've been watching it, and I have my theories about geography and why people have disasters, but that's like a separate conversation. And why people, you know, are more into hunting and why people are doing this and that. But like I said, that's like a whole separate, you know, that's a book.
Yeah,
That's a book.
you actually, that's a great book. You should do
Yeah,
that.
thank you.
Kat, thank you so much
that's
for
it?
coming.
Oh
I
my
know,
gosh, she's
they're like
kicking
going
me
like
out?
this. Like,
I drank enough coffee to go for like 3 hours, I think.
well, we're going to have you back because
hope
we
so.
do have a lot more to talk about.
Yes.
Thank you so much for
Oh,
sharing.
thank you.
Love you.
Thank you, babe. Thank you.